Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Telepathic Bunny, and we're gonna talk. This is Theology, a show that we do here regularly whenever we come up with a topic. And tonight's topic, we're gonna talk about the Azazel goat. And first off, how you doing,
Mm-hmm.
T Bunny? How you doing, Cooper? How's everything?
Doing fine, doing fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm putting in a link to your comic.
Mm-hmm.
This, and then I might as well put in a link to my comic too, right?
There you go.
There you go. So this is. Tell us what if you go to this place and you download this. What are you going to get?
It's a link to the Pete. It's like a sampler of my comic. Also a full comic that I did for a project that has yet to come out. We don't know. So just a bonus for people that were still waiting on my comic, which should be out by the fall.
Oh, good,
Finally.
good. Oh, cool, good. That's good news. Cool. And if you go here, it's going to take you to Fund My Comic, and it's issue 2 of Heroic Tales. You could also get issue 1 of Heroic Tales, along with all the variant covers, cards, coins, T-shirts, hoodies, all good things from me, John. And the name of the comic company is Longbox Comics, and we got a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'm just loading up stuff with like right now we're waiting, but I got a couple of stories all ready to unleash any day now. Any day now, I'll be launching campaigns. So I'd rather you wait now than launch the campaign and then make you wait. So there we go. So everything, how's it going? It seems like we were just talking yesterday, right? Did you freeze? Did we lose you? Well, looks like Cooper froze, but I was having internet issues all day Fridays. For anybody who's watching It's Clobbering Time Friday, man, I was just in and out of the stream. And I called Optimum, and they rebooted everything from their end. It wasn't fixed everything. I rebooted. And then I guess today, everything started working again. So good for that. We'll see if... Oh, here comes Cooper. You okay? It looks like you froze. All right. It's going to be... What do we got here? Wrangler says, a whole lot of hello. How you doing? So anyway, I was doing a lot of reading. I'm doing, you never know where you're going to get inspiration from. NDA Andrew just said, hey, John, can you make the Go-Getter speed up? He's busted my chops because he wants to read about my character. And just that one sentence made me think of a comic book, which made me think of an idea. So you never know where inspirations are going to come. So I started writing a story about the Go-Getter just based on Andrew telling me to hurry up. But
Awesome.
I get inspiration. Awesome. I get inspiration from mythology, from other comic books, from novels, from the Bible. So you never know. But I don't know why I thought of this, but I was been fascinated with the concept of the Azazel goat. Now, Cooper, did you know what this is before I asked you about it? Cool.
I knew what the Judas goat was. I knew what the Day of Atonement was, but the whole Azazel thing, I wasn't familiar with that. So I've been like going the rabbit hole on the whole Azazel thing.
Oh, okay. Well, first thing we got to address is 420. So I don't know. We all know what 420 means, but I don't know. Cooper, are you a 420 guy? Because I'm not a 420 guy. Maybe Wrangler's a 420 guy. But thank you. I lift my coffee cup to you. Thank you.
I am not.
So yeah, I don't know if that's going to Cooper's channel, my channel, but thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Excuse me as I choke on coffee. Geez, that's hot. And I almost just died live on stream. But for those of you who don't know,
that would have been unfortunate.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
So that would have been unfortunate.
Yeah, that would have been.
You terrible. Dying on stream would have been unfortunate.
Yeah, because then it would have been awkward. So in ancient Israel, I don't know exactly up until like just after Jesus's time, I think until the destruction of the temple, the high priest would take two goats, and they had to be goats without blemish and everything. We've all heard that's like they would inspect the goats and everything, and then what they would do is they would basically roll dice or some cast lots. I don't know exactly what the lots were, but they would do some sort of randomization, and one goat would be for Yahweh, and one goat would be for Azazel, and the goat for Yahweh would be brought into the temple and into, if I'm correct, the holiest of holies, and was basically slaughtered there, and then sacrificed. I don't know if I don't know the particulars of that, if they ate some of it or if they just gave it all up to Yahweh, but basically it was, and they used the blood for purification, stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a Day of Atonement, which means it was sacrificed for the sins of Israel.
Right. It was part of the Yom Kippur ritual.
Yeah.
The other goat was given a white collar, and then I forget, there's an actual term for the person that would lead it out into the wilderness, outside the gates of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And it was near Gehenna. Gehenna was like a valley. I don't know the exact geography, but it was like a valley. And some people say that there was like a volcanic rift. Some people just say it was a fire. I don't know, but it was literally that people would end up throwing garbage in there. And he would push the goat into this off a cliff for Azazel, the demon, and then he would leave. And sometimes they say that the goat would wander into the wilderness or whatever, but if it was ever found again, the collar would be red. That meant that the sacrifice was accepted. Magic. And a lot of interesting things in this story. One, going into the holiest of holies for the sacrifice of the goat. Another one is the whole concept of this goat being taken outside of the gates of Jerusalem and thrown into Gehenna. Gehenna kind of turned into hell, but it was literally garbage heap. I think is the literal translation. And then for Azazel, anything you want to say? Because I realize I can talk for a long time.
Well, I wasn't aware of the Enoch accounts. I was only aware of what's in the Bible. So I've been kind of having to educate myself on the whole Enoch angle of it.
Right.
So Enoch is actually not written by Enoch. It doesn't date far enough back to be from Enoch. And it's basically a collection of almost lore. And like the first book of Enoch is like a collection of Jewish lore, basically. And the reason why it wasn't canonized is because a lot of it was fictional, a lot of it was like made up, and there was a few like sprinkled in there. There was maybe some factual stuff, but not enough that it could be canonized. And there's one quote in the Bible from the book of Enoch, which is in Jude, talking about Satan and Michael, I think, basically having a conflict over the body of Moses. That's in Jude. But basically is talking about how even Michael, as powerful as Michael is on equal level as Lucifer, is not going to dispute Lucifer in his own power. He's going to use the authority of God. But basically, so a lot of the Enochian like lore is kind of like mixed in with. It's like if you got your fairy tales mixed in with your factual, and so it's all kind of written side by side. Yeah, Enoch is it's in the Ethiopian Bible. Yeah, they're the only Bible that uses it. But so a lot of this is like fairy tales or Jewish tradition or lore. So and a lot of it does mention in the Bible that that the fallen angels were bound and cast out of heaven. That's in Genesis. And so whether one of those was Azazel or not, that's not really established in the Bible. So the whole Azazel is either a term, but there does exist a possibility that he's an entity. But for the most part, a lot of people, Michael Heiser believed he was an entity, but he's really the first one in mainstream Christianity that had an opinion on the matter. For the most part, people believed that the Azazel was just a term for the Judas goat, basically sending him into Azazel would be oblivion,
Well,
So
the term Azazel comes up twice in the Bible, but no explanation of who Azazel is. So that which way made me who is this Azazel? Because you always hear Azazel is a demon in the Hellblazer constant. John Constantine comics. There's Azazel who's in Sandman. So a lot of comic book characters have Azazel. So I was like, if you watch the show Supernatural, Azazel was one of the demons.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what is this? So that brought me to the Book of Enoch, like T Buddy said. The book, there's Enoch 1, there's Enoch 2, and they're in the Ethiopian Bible.
Also, the father of Nightcrawler.
Oh yeah. In Marvel Comics, you see, is popular in a lot of demons are popular in pop culture. And forgive me, man, I took a chug of that coffee and it was way too hot, and I'm trying not to show how bad it hurt. But I'll take another sip now. But the Ethiopian Bible has some really cool extra stuff for reading, like the continuing adventures of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve's daughter, Dorica, some real cool stories about the flood. And then Enoch. And Enoch is one of my favorite biblical, non-biblical characters of all time. I forget now. Is he Noah's son or Noah's father? Enoch.
He is before Noah.
Okay, so I think
a couple of generations. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just a couple of generations removed from Adam.
Okay,
so he's really early on.
Yeah, real early on, and he never died. God just came down to him and said, "Hey, Enoch, come here," and took him up into heaven. And this is according to the Book of Enoch, which is not in the canonized Bible.
And in the canonized Bible, it does it. They says that
he's in the lineage, but the story that I'm telling now, and then God put him on his throne, and he transformed into the angel Metatron. And I've always been fascinated with the angel Metatron because of Metron from Jack Kirby's New Gods. I mean, if you're watching this because of Theology, this is a comic book channel. Me and Cooper do talk about comic books a lot. So that, so Jack Kirby had a character called Metron, and I just thought it was something he made up until I realized it was a superhero version of Metatron.
Yeah.
Just like in Marvel, what's his name? Mephisto is a superhero version of Mephistopheles.
Yeah.
So, so I became fascinated with that, like a human. And then Peter David used that whole concept for his version of Supergirl. The Earth Angel version of Supergirl was a human transformed into an angel, and blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of comic book tie-ins with all of this stuff. And I've been fascinated by this stuff. But anyway, the Book of Enoch explains what or who Azazel is. I can't even say
Azazel.
I can't even say it, and I misspelled it. I got to change it now that I'm looking at the actual word.
No, you're right.
Azazel was a fallen angel. He was one of the 1/3 of angels that was led by, or Satan led 1/3 of the angels in rebellion, and he fell. And he's a trickster. He's like a Loki. He's like a coyote, and he.
Well, he's kind of like a Promethean character,
right? He taught humans how to smelt iron and make weapons.
Yeah.
And here's something: he taught women about cosmetics and jewelry. So he taught men weapons and women cosmetics and jewelry. What a troublemaker this Azazel is.
Well, think about it. You got expression of wrath. You got expression of killing. Or you got entering and killing in. You got envy, which is the men killing. A lot has a lot to do with envy. And then you got women. Group in women, you have like envy and pride and things like that. So,
well, if I may be so base, the weapon of men is literal weapons. The weapon of women is beauty and jewelry.
Right. Yeah, it caused a lot of trouble. He caused a lot of trouble.
So, hey, we got Matt in the chat. Matt Bowers here. I just sent Matt a script today, and I'm always flattered when Matt likes my scripts. So he says Jesus rose and hung out for 40 days, but nobody really talks about it except the Ethiopians. Yeah, that there's a lot. That's a topic for a whole other theology. You just made me think of something, Matt. This is one I love the chat when they give me something to think about. I feel like that would be the yeah. You think we'd know more? And that's I forget what it was, but one of the other apocrypha. The apocrypha are the books of the Bible, but they didn't make it into the Bible. The first round cuts. One of them is the Gospel of Mary, meaning Mary Magdalene, because I think 3 of the Gospels say that the first person that Jesus spoke to when he rose was Mary Magdalene, but nobody ever recorded what he said. So there's a Gospel of Mary Magdalene,
which later turned out to be forgery.
Oh, see, I didn't know that, but there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely a forgery.
Yeah, Enoch reads like a Tolkien book. Yeah. It's really, really long too. It's really, really long.
Arkham's static. It's totally okay to disagree with me. I don't claim to be an expert on this stuff.
So, Azazel was a watcher. Yes, he was a watcher. He was a Grigori, a high-ranking angel. He was one of the 12 that led the 2,000 to descendants of the world of men and made it with humans. Yes, he became one of the fathers of the Nephilim. Also, I forgot to mention this, but this is an open invite. Here's the link if anybody wants to come in. Matt, Arkham, if anybody wants to come in, just remember we're free to disagree. We're all flawed humans. We're not here to get heated debate. It's all fun. It's all fun and games. So anyway, that's Azazel. I don't know why he was given a goat. I don't know why, but the theory is that the Jews cast their Israelites. I don't know the proper, because there's Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews. They all speak about specific times. I think at this point we say Israelites, and the sins were cast into the goat and into the wilderness, into Azazel. Yeah. So that is. And that was the practice until the temple was destroyed. You can't take a goat into the holiest of holies and purify it with the pure blood if there's no temple anymore. So that practice got wiped out. Interesting.
Well, the Day of Atonement's all about something called substitutionary atonement, which means our whole entire justice system is based on the fact that if someone does wrong or somebody commits sin, then the wages of sin is death, and that sin has to be paid for by somebody. And so up to the time of that Christ made the ultimate sacrifice, this was the system in which the sins were forgiven, was the sacrificial system. And once a year, there would be this atonement ceremony where the sins of Israel would be placed upon this, would be one would be sacrificed for the known sin, and then the goat sent into the wilderness, into the Azazel, would be for the sins unconfessed, and so this way for the rest, this was like take care of the sins from the previous year, and proceed into the new one. Until Christ, and Christ became both the sacrificial lamb and the Azazel goat in one package, and then when he died, that closed out the sacrificial system according to Christianity. And when he rose again, he basically provided a way for mankind to reach God through the sacrifice.
So that was one of the. Oh, Wrangler has a comment. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip PB's comment. What are the other lost books of the Bible? The Song of, they're not lost. We still have these books. You can still read. They're called the Apocrypha. I have a copy upstairs. I was fascinated with stories that didn't make it to the Bible, and I don't know enough.
The Douay Bible the Catholics use has a lot of the apocryphal books in them.
Yeah, the Catholics, I think, has my wife and I were just talking about that. 6 more books than the Protestants. And then
I think they have the Maccabees and a few other ones I can't really name you.
Yeah, and I forget if it was the Council of Nicaea where they formalized the Catholic Bible.
Yeah,
and
well, they formalized the canon of Scripture. Yeah,
right.
But the Protestants have a different canon than the Catholics do.
Right, and then the Ethiopians have even more.
Yeah,
and then the Jews have it slightly different. So there's so whatever you're talking about the Bible, we just use this as a generic term. But there's at least 3 that I just mentioned, and I'm sure there's more. I'm sure the Coptics have a different version. I'm sure.
For the most part, most Protestant sects do have a set. Do agree upon the canon of how many books that are currently in our Bible. So it's just the discrepancy. Only discrepancies that are to with the Catholics Douay Bible and with the Ethiopians. They've got their own thing going on. So
yeah, the Ethiopians Bible has. You can't deny they're cool stories. They got Solomon's son, whose name I forget. All the Bibles agree that Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know where Sheba is. Some people say that Sheba is a realm
Ethiopia.
In Ethiopia. Some scholars say that it was like way out on the Arabian Peninsula. The Ethiopians say it was in Ethiopia, and the Queen of Sheba and Solomon had this kid. And this kid, even the Ethiopians kind of have a discrepancy. Some say that Solomon, in his wisdom and foresight, sent him the Ark of the Covenant. Some people say that he went back there and distracted Solomon and stole the Ark of the Covenant. And to this day, oh man, would this be so cool? That there's supposed to be this temple outside of Addis Ababa, and they call themselves the Guardians of the Ark of the Covenant. And
well, you're not allowed to see inside of it, but
right.
I've seen the outside of it.
Yeah, I've seen the outside of it on documentaries and stuff, and there's literally a guard who walks around it, like kind of like the beef eater. How cool would that be? We need an Indiana Jones to go in there.
Well, I personally think that the Ark of the Covenant is under the Temple Mount myself.
We could talk about the Ark of the Covenant because I read some.
We'll do another time. We'll do that another time.
I read some cool stories about. But the point that I just wanted to make to PB is they're not lost. We have these. You could get these books. I have an Old Testament upstairs. I have a New Testament upstairs, and then I have the supplemental Apocrypha. There's some real interesting stories in them. Whether you believe them or not, that's not the purview of this. But they aren't. I'm sure there are Bible books that are lost. And then we got Wrangler says, when Jesus died, the curtain blocking the holies of holies tore in half, top to bottom. Sacrifices were no longer needed as the price of sin had now been paid. I'm going to come back to this later. You touched on something I'm going to talk about later.
Okay.
I love the Ethiopian Bibles. Yeah, the Queen of Sheba. Yep, I was just talking about that. Honest question. There's 10,000 different religions on earth, but everyone thinks that their particular religion is the right one. Why is that? Well,
let's go. If you don't have faith that your religion is the right one, then you don't have faith in your own.
It comes down to faith, and that's why I personally don't want to fight with other people about their religions. I don't know. There's a couple of things I don't want to argue with people about. What do you find delicious? What do you find attractive? What do you find humorous? And what do you find spiritual? Those are things that only you can define. And for me to punch somebody in the face over all those things is idiotic. I mean, I like a heated debate. I like a heated argument, but that's why I get the maddest at Islam, that tells you to insult their religion, you have to convert to their religion, and if you leave their religion, you have to be killed. I don't think the Buddhists make that claim, or the Jews don't even want you to join their religion. To become Jewish, you gotta do a Herculean task. You know what I mean? To be Catholic, you could convert, and if you leave, they're just like, well, it's a shame. I'm sorry to go. Same with the Protestants. I don't know about the Hindus. I'm sure they would welcome you, and I'm sure if you left, they would be disappointed. But as far as I know, only Islam will tell you must die for not belief. So that's why, controversial or not, I have no respect for a religion that uses fear as a means of controlling its populace. So there you go. Write a harsh letter. Send all your letters to telepathicbuddy@yahoo.com. The way I see it, my job is to share the gospel, not to convince people of it. Convincing them is the Holy Spirit's job. There you go. Like as far as the Mormons, to me, again, if anybody's Mormon, no disrespect, I find it to be kind of weird, but they are the nicest people. And if you disagree with them, they don't really get violent or anything. So, that to me is the test of a religion. Like, okay, let the religion speak for itself. But anyway, back to the Azazel goat. So that's why we always hear that Jesus was the Lamb of God. This is where it all comes down from. And we got another person popping in here. How you doing, Arkham? How's it going?
Welcome.
Are you on? Can you talk?
I am on.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. Anything you wanted to say before I pontificate again for another hour and a half?
No, pontificate. God, I can't even speak.
Pontificate.
Thank you.
Okay, monitor.
No, I just, when you guys and if I came out harsher than it meant to you, it's not wasn't.
Oh no, I didn't take it as that at all.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
I'm
one of the
totally
things
okay
about
with it.
the internet is people bring their own inflection. So I'm starring the invite if anybody wants to pop in. Keep in mind, turn your camera on. That reduces shenanigans, and this is a religious topic, and they can get heated. We're not going to fight. Spirited debate.
I was talking about the shroud the other day, and I had to ban somebody.
Right.
The only thing I think that I wouldn't say take offense to, that just threw me off a little bit when it was when you refer to it as a book of fairy tales. And the reason why I looked at it that way, especially somebody that is Christian, that's how some people look at our religion. Right. So that's why I think it's not a book of fairy tales. It's just it's a thing that people worshipped before. Yeah. Right. And
let me clarify. See, I don't view fairy tales as something that's a negative. I view that as basically cultural lore. It's basically that's my shorthand for cultural lore. So to me, it wasn't being denigrating or anything like that.
No, so. Yeah, I don't think your personality doesn't seem somebody that would denigrate anybody. Just you seem like one of the nicest people you could talk to. The reason why I find the Book of Enoch so
come across that
interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I find the Book of Enoch to be fascinating, and I don't know if anybody knows PTP Patrick. I always forget his name. Parnell. I don't know what the T stands for, but he's doing a comic book version of the Book of Enoch, and Marcus doing a comic book of the Gospels, and I'm excited to read them. I love that kind of stuff. I think I might as well push my Tuesday. Marcus Miller will be on my channel 7 Eastern Standard Time to talk about Afar, the wordless comic of the Gospels, and I think that's kind of brilliant because you could give it to anybody.
Yeah. And that was Mike S. Miller, right?
Mike S. Miller. My brain is getting all foggy now. I took a nap so my brain wouldn't be foggy, and I think it backfired.
I think the nap's the worst thing you could do for.
Yeah, I think it totally backfired.
It just wants me to go back to sleep.
So anyway, we were talking about the Azazel goat, the Azazel being one of the fallen princes, and he led legions, and he's kind of I always kind of make him, like, in my mind, he's like Odysseus, from Greek mythology. Odysseus was the crafty one, really wasn't known as for the feats of strength and everything like that, but Odysseus was crafty. And Azazel was like plotting the downfall of humanity by weapons, makeup, jewelry, and creating Nephilim, kind of letting humanity defeat itself.
See, I didn't read that as him being I would say evil in any way. It seemed like he actually was genuinely trying to help us, but without any real guidance. He gave us all this knowledge, or all the watchers and so forth, gave us all this knowledge and so forth. And then, of course, they disobeyed God, and their worst transition was mating with humans. That's when God's like, enough. And then, of course, the Nephilim became overpowered and stuff like that. And it wasn't until then that the flood happened, right? And before I became a Christian, I still am heavily into ancient cultures, archaeology, knowing that the timeline isn't correct, the human timeline. Hence, I'm not going to go all the way into Atlantis, or what's the other one? Lutherian? No, whatever. The island that was supposed to connect, or the land that's supposed to connect Africa to parts of Asia. Lemuria. Thank you, Lemuria.
Yeah, those were, people always bring up Atlantis was made up by Plato as a thought experiment. You know what I mean? Plato is just like, yeah, it didn't exist. I just made it up, and everybody talks about it. Because most people don't know that Plato made it up. It was like a philosophical.
Well, I was corrected on that the other day. Plato was basically telling the story that was told to him by an Egyptian.
I was going to say it was an Egyptian that he got the information from.
Right, Hermes Trismegistus, who never existed. He made up Hermes Trismegistus.
I don't know. There's a lot of underwater monoliths and cultures that have just the ocean's just devoured. And if you look at the youngest Dryas and the way, as a culture, humans have constantly aggressed and regressed. We've seen that several times through the Dark Ages, through the collapse of the Bronze Age, and so forth.
I will give myself a plug. Next year's Christmas special will feature Hermes Trismegistus. Cooper, I already bounced some of the ideas to Cooper. He's the only person who knows. But anyway, so as Azazel, they say he wanders the wilderness. According to what I read in the book, he tempts humanity. He was tempted by the beauty of women and fell and fathered some Nephilim. He's not the only father of Nephilim. He's one of the angel. And then according to what I read, he's a bad guy that is trying to cause humanity to fall. But he's stepping back and be like, I didn't do it. They did it themselves. I just gave them matches. I didn't start the forest fire. So they give the goat to him. That is the only thing that I don't understand. Why specifically him? Is it to keep him away? Is it so? I read someplace that Yahweh, like back in the early days, that Yahweh represented civilization, and Azazel was outside of civilization, like the other. So the wilderness is for Azazel, and civilization, Jerusalem, the cities, humanity and culture, it was Yahweh. I'm not saying I read that, but I couldn't find it when I was looking up for this. I read that years ago, so I don't know if that's the truth, but I think it's a neat explanation, but I don't know. So if anybody watching or you two guys know if I'm right or wrong, let me know.
Well, I mean, there are many angels that are mentioned in the Bible that aren't like named. Like the death angel is mentioned multiple times. Like the one that took out the firstborn of Egypt was called the death angel, but they never gave him a name. And there's also angels all throughout the scripture that we know that there's a battle fought to get word to Daniel, and there's a couple of names mentioned there, but for the most part, there's a lot of angels that we know that exist, but haven't been like officially just like named. And so the Azazel, the dispute is whether Azazel is just a term that they used for the outer darkness, or was it an actual
wilderness? Yeah, outside. Yeah,
yeah, or was it like an actual being? And so I don't think the Bible calls it.
the Bible only mentions Azazel twice. It doesn't give any explanation.
Most of the whole lore about him being an actual being comes from the Book of Enoch.
Right.
So well, whether you accept Book of Enoch as like factual or not, it kind of depends. Michael Hauser believed Azazel might be a being, and so he's the only one in mainstream Christianity I've ever heard call Azazel a being. And so, why would Azazel be? Why would they send the goat to Azazel? That. I guess that's the crux
that's the part that I don't.
I just questioned there.
The sacrificial goat.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to say Happy Easter to the Greek Orthodox. And Bobby, if you're Greek Orthodox, we just asked earlier if the Greek Orthodox Church has the same books of the Bible as the Roman Catholic or as the Protestants. We know that the Jews, Ethiopians, Protestants, and Christian Roman Catholics all have slightly different books of the Bible. I'm just curious if the Eastern Orthodox has the same. So it's good that you're here. Maybe you can answer that question. But anyway, Arkham, what were you saying?
Well, I have ADHD, so that went out of my head immediately.
Oh, there you go. So one of the things that I found fascinating is, Jesus is the Lamb of God. We've all heard that. So he was the sacrifice, and it's just one of those things that you just like when you realize it's jaw dropping. Jesus was led outside of the city into the wilderness, and on was it Golgotha, the place of skulls, and sacrificed outside the city. He was the Azazel goat. He was the scapegoat. He was the Judas goat. Some Bibles say scapegoat. Some Bibles say Judas goat. It all the same thing. If I never made that clear at the beginning, but the Azazel goats, just to me, the Azazel goat has so much more mystique than scapegoat or Judas goat. And here it was. Jesus was led outside of the city, outside of civilization, outside of whatever, and then hung on a cross in the wilderness. And to the Romans and Jews, he was just put to death, but to the Christians, he was sacrificed. He literally became the Azazel goat. And I thought it was like, oh man, that was like a jaw-dropping revelation when I've heard it all my life, but I didn't make the connection until I started doing research into the scapegoat, which I don't know, at the risk of being offensive, the idea of that transferring your sins into something else and then torturing that other thing that had nothing to do with you, to me, it makes no sense. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like
the chicken, spinning the chicken in the air, putting your sins in the chicken. It's just like, wow, there you go. Take no personal responsibility, just put it in the poor chicken. Like, hey, Cooper, I'm giving you all my sins. How's that? How do you like that? How do you like them apples?
Well, the thing is, if he was Catholic, it'd be very easy. He could just go into confession next week. That's what John did.
He has to do.
But to my knowledge, it's the same Bible as the Roman Catholic Church, and they're the same church until the Great Schism. And then he says, I just looked it up. We're wrong. We do have a different one. All right. I'll look it up later.
I think the Orthodox has more books in their Bible than the Roman Catholic does.
I just know that the Greek Orthodox, they don't mess around Easter. In my freshman year of college, I dated a Greek Orthodox girl, and she just said to me, Easter's coming. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Well,
Russian Orthodox, all the Orthodox are pretty.
Yeah, they split off. They're kind of really early on when they split from the Roman Catholic Church. So they're basically Roman Catholic Church without being Roman Catholic. So
Yeah, so their book, I think, is closer to the Ethiopian book than the Christian or the Catholic book is.
I just know that they don't have a pope; they have the patriarch. Sound familiar? Yeah,
yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about that? Is you know, I found that Jesus, the whole fact that he was out in the wilderness, you know, meaning the original term, just it was binary back then. Either you were in the city or you were in the wilderness, and Jesus was outside of the city and sacrificed. I was just like, oh man,
you see this all over the Bible. There's been like types of Jesuses before Jesus. You know, like Isaac being spared. Said God will provide himself a ram. You know, that he had Abraham that had to sacrifice his own son. You know, God
and Abraham went up into a mountain into the wilderness to do that also.
And he didn't make Abram follow through it.
I don't know if T Bunny has a bad connection or he's going through a time.
There's also Passover, the Passover lamb. The blood has I do. I have a bad connection. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm not talking. Yeah, the Passover lamb's blood over the doorway to ward off the spirit of death or the angel of death. I forget exactly what that term was in ancient Egypt. But here's another thing. I said I was going to get back to something. I'm going to get back to this now. I was looking up the Azazel goat. I found in the Torah, you know, for those of you who don't know, after the I didn't mean to scare you off, Cooper. After the destruction of the temple.
No, I'm just turning the camera off because evidently I can't keep up with you otherwise.
Oh, okay. In the book of the Torah, and I'm trying to what is it, Sanhedrin 67b, or it says that all magic stopped working 40 years before the destruction of the temple, which roughly brings us to the time of Jesus. So the Urim and the Thummim stopped working. The collar for the Azazel goat stopped turning red. You know, kind of interesting to think that after Jesus died on the cross, all the Old Testament magic stopped working. It says here.
Well, with the tearing of the temple,
right?
Temple.
Yeah. So I just find that super interesting. What do you guys? Oh, I scared away Arkham. I scared away T Bunny.
I'm still here, man.
I know.
I just can't have my camera on.
I just
get over it.
Yeah, you're coming out without any robotic good. I like the convenience of when Easter's fall on the same day. Yeah, Easter is one of those floating holidays because it goes by the it's always on a Sunday. I think 2028 is the next time. Oh, okay. The blood of the Passover lamb was applied to the door jamb and the headers with a hyssop. I hope I pronounced that right. And when Jesus was on the cross, they offered him vinegar with a hyssop. Oh, I didn't know that. What is a hyssop? Is it? Could you let me know what a hyssop is? I never heard that word before. So again, I could talk forever, and sometimes I do. So
a hyssop is a type of plant. It's kind of like a sponge.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember that from Ben-Hur. They dipped the vinegar into the sponge and gave it. Yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah, and then the palms he wrote in on. It's funny, the whole donkey thing. Yeah, you sound fine. The whole donkey thing. The Yahweh. I didn't know this again until I was doing a lot of research for a comic, but in the I forget how the Tetranonomicon. HWH. The name of God, the 4 letters. In Egyptian, instead of Yahweh sounds like the Egyptian word for donkey, and Egyptian is a Coptic language. Hebrew is a Semitic language, so they have different roots. You know what I mean? But sometimes different languages have words that sound similar. There's words in Japanese that sound like English words, but they're completely different meanings because they're different root word. So the Egyptians mocking Yahweh would in their art, you'd see a donkey-headed god. And the Canaanites kind of adopted this, and you'll see in a lot of ancient pottery a donkey god. That's the Canaanites, and they're making fun of Yahweh. And then that became kind of like because of the traffic from Egypt into the whatever, kind of like an unofficial, kind of like we're gonna own it. You're gonna make fun of us, we're gonna own it. So Jesus riding the donkey, was a little symbology of I am kind of claiming this back. What do you guys think of that? I find that stuff fascinating.
Actually, that comes from a scripture in the Old Testament that when somebody came in peace, they would ride on the back of a donkey's colt.
Yep.
And so that's kind of like, I think Deuteronomy maybe or something like that.
Yep. Deuteronomy predicts that. But I'm just saying this is outside of the Bible. This whole Yahweh being associated with the donkey kind of and then Jesus riding the donkey. I find all this stuff even. Oh, geez, I got hair in my eyes. My wife just sent me a message. She's probably clarifying all the stuff that I'm messing up. She's now the biblical scholar in this house.
There you go.
Well, we're going to get into something, John.
Yeah.
She's going to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to see what she sent me. Oh, she sent me a picture of a hyssop plant.
Oh.
This purple plant.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Yes. Fun fact. Much like Iran, Egypt was largely a Christian nation once upon a time. Yes, and they were forcibly converted to Islam. This whole
I told you wrong. Hyssop was not the sponge. Hyssop's like a medicine plant.
Yeah. It's this purple.
Yeah.
I can't really show my phone with.
Yeah, she's right. She's absolutely right. That's on me.
Yeah, I remember I took a class on Islam in my third year of college. And I got an A in it, and even though I was I don't know what's going on. Everybody's name is Muhammad, I couldn't figure it out. It was the history of Islam, and I only studied a fraction of the material for the test, and luckily that's what the test was on. She literally had 3 different tests, and handed out to every third person a test, and I just got the 1/3 that I happened to study. I was like, I got an A, and the teacher invited me. She only invited the top students to her house for a party. I got invited, and I'm I don't know any of them. I felt like such a fraud. But,
well, there's not a lot to the Islamic faith if you scratch the surface.
Well, that class though, she kept saying that it spread peacefully, and I was like, no, it didn't. No,
it definitely did not spread peacefully.
Right. There's a couple of teachers that I argued so much with, but I always ended up getting good grades in those classes. I wonder if that's a thing of the past.
They can prove you wrong.
Yeah, but could you imagine arguing? Well,
they just wanted to pass you out of their class.
Yeah, get this guy out of the. Well, she invited me to her house. She was a good sport,
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah, she was kind of cool about it.
Maybe she thought you were cute. I don't know.
No, not that teacher. If she did, no. But anyway, the point being is that Islam was not spread by peace. Not by
no.
Egypt was conquered by they enslaved the men. They did stuff to the women and suppressed everything else.
But was it first the Canaanites and I was going to say people of Gaza, but the Philistines and the Phoenicians and the Israelites that the Egyptians did initially slave, when Moses set them free and then left, from what I understand, Egypt started to be a multicultural facility of culture at one time. And then the Philistines actually ended up taking over them politically, rose up in a revolution.
Well, when we talk about Egypt, we're talking about a culture that's I'm not even joking. Thousand years. Yeah. So which Egypt are we talking about? Are we talking about the early dynasties? Are we talking about the Hyksos invasions? Are we talking about the Philistine invasions? Are we talking about the Hellenic world, the Roman world, and the is it the I forget which one of Alexander the Great's generals took over. Ptolemies, Ptolemies.
The Ptolemy.
The Ptolemaic ones, and then afterwards the Arabic world. You know, there's so many Egypt, which is why out of all the mythologies, I can't keep Egyptian mythology in my head straight. It just contradicts itself. You know,
Egyptian mythology will give you a headache.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, you know, if you study Sumerian mythology, it only lasted like 800, 900 years. So it didn't last long enough to contradict itself. But Egyptian mythology just you know.
There's two versions of their mythology, isn't there? There's pre-Osiris, post-Osiris.
Yeah.
When Ra and Set were brothers, and Set was not evil until Osiris came in, and then Set was considered the devil of their religion at that time.
Yep.
Oh my God, I remember something.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I know.
It's old. That's why Plato bringing up Hermes Trismegistus gives it the wise sage out of Egypt. It gives it a validity, because even the Romans. I mean, it's a fun fact that Julius Caesar, looking at the pyramids, he the pyramids were older to Julius Caesar than the Colosseum is to us. You know what I mean? That's how ancient the civilization is. It's really, my wife, I really wanted to surprise her and take her to see the pyramids. She's dying to see the pyramids, but I don't know if go to Egypt is wise these days.
And I would wait for probably a decade if I would go anywhere in that area.
The Egyptian mythology story of creation is so incredibly perverted. I can't even begin to type. Yeah.
No.
It's
I think with the regime of Iran, if it falls, that's going to go pretty far to stabilizing that region. So it might be a lot safer sooner than
let's
a
hope.
decade.
Let's hope, because my wife took me to Iceland for my 50th birthday, and my wife's 50th birthday came and went, and I never took her to Egypt. So, so buy Heroic Tales 3 and fund a trip to Egypt.
Fund the Egypt trip.
So, and I know we kind of stray, but I like how a conversation becomes a meandering river, and we talk about other things. I mean,
they're all kind of they're aligned, the conversations.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go back to the substitutionary atonement, the whole entire idea, our justice system is based entirely on the substitutionary atonement, in that for every crime there must be a punishment. For every sin against God, there has to be a price paid, and so the whole entire Judas Goat ideal is that you don't like the fact that somebody pays for somebody else's crime, but the crime there's a punishment that has to be due for crime, for any kind of sin against God, to keep the books kind of the books. I mean, you see right now what's going on in our culture, in that justice is being perverted, and people are going unpunished. And you're seeing how that's entirely breaking down our society. Before the old concept of substitutionary atonement came into societies, we had chaos and we had barbarism. But the thing that really caused us to have a ability to build on societies and have societies in the first place was the whole idea of crime followed by punishment, and somebody pays for the sins against God, and because of that, we've established the society we have, and so you're seeing a breakdown of it right now, and every time it breaks down, a dissolution of society happens shortly thereafter.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I've been preaching this since the 90s, that social justice is evil. When
Is
they
very evil.
social justice. Western culture is based on the idea of individual rights and individual punishments, meaning we have to find the person who committed the crime. Not it doesn't. And the law is the law is the law. We look at the individual and then we judge the case based on the individual. Social justice is we look at the group, we look at the society, and all these factors, and it doesn't, So,
and one group of people get a pass, another group of people get more punishment than others.
I hate to do the reduce every argument to Hitler, but it's the only way to drive the point home. Is Hitler believed in social justice? The Aryans, the German people, the Jews, they all got different types of justice. We all agree that that's wrong. You know what I mean? We all agree that that's wrong. But then in America, we bring the same concept of group individuality, group rights to America. And somehow we're going to pretend that it's good. No, we either have individual rights or we have group rights. That's why I
highlight that last comment right quick.
Oh, in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Good. Speaking of justice, rest in peace. I'm going to
Irina Zarutska.
Yeah, thank you. She's in heaven now. Yep. An immigrant coming for peace, and we don't really care about immigrants. That
just trying to find her way home, and
did nothing wrong. And these pieces of shit. I try not to curse on my channel, but I think you will forgive me this one indulgence. Yeah. These pieces of shit who watched it happen and did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pieces of shit. That's the only thing I got to say. But this is what I'm talking about. Social justice. That's why since the 90s, when I first became like politically aware, I used to say, like, what are gay rights? What are women's rights? I'll never forget this woman came to my door when I was a little kid. So this must have been like the late 70s. It was knocking on the door. My mother answered the door. I'm home playing with toys. And she's talking to my mother about the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. And my mother argued with this woman until you should have seen this woman's. And she's like, there are no women's rights. We all have rights and we don't have rights. What rights do women not have? And this woman was shocked that my mother, who contrary, she was a woman, chased this woman. And I was a kid, like, what do you mean? Don't you want women to have rights? And she was like, John, women have rights.
Yeah.
We have individual rights in America. And that was the very first time that concept. I was a little kid.
Well, it's not about rights, it's power.
Right.
They want power. They want to determine who has rights and who doesn't have rights.
But that's, that was a little bit above my head at the time. But yes, if the government could grant you rights, the government could take away rights. And if the government could give these people more rights, these people, they could give these people less rights. So that's social justice is evil.
So that's what substitutionary atonement is about, though, is that we're all sinners before God, and we all have penalty to pay, and so we're all equal before the eyes of God, and therefore there has to be an entity that determines, who is at fault and who's not.
Well,
and it has to be blind, or it doesn't work.
Justice is blind. Yeah, and that's why in our Constitution or the Declaration of Independence it says we were bestowed inalienable rights by our Creator. Yeah. Not by our government.
No.
Not by Phil Moskowitz, not by Superman or Mickey Mouse, but our Creator. So the government, our Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, it limits what the government can do. It doesn't give the people anything.
It's like Animal Farm. Some pigs are more equal than others. And
don't even get me started on this piece of crap movie.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been on my mind.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, this is an Animal Farm by this is the one horseman of the apocalypse. If you see Seth Rogen has anything to do with your entertainment, turn the TV off and literally do anything else, because he took Animal Farm, George Orwell's screed against communism, and literally turned it into a screed against capitalism.
Yeah, it's pro-communism now.
Yeah. Oh my God! If we could harness the torque energy of George Orwell spinning in his grave right now. We could power spaceships into the unknown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But the ironic part is he hasn't completely screwed up Invincible.
Yet.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's not over yet. Don't.
That is true. They might marvel it.
You know, I started watching Preacher, and
that's garbage. That's the hot dog shit.
I liked the comic. The comic was a redemption arc for a bad person who turned into a good person, and you know, I got problems with Garth Ennis, and Preacher is kind of flawed. It's an edgy college freshman. Hey, you know, but ultimately it redeemed itself. The show taken by Rogan, they took out all the redemption, and this is gonna sound bad, guys, but there's no other way to say it. It's just a Jewish person making fun of Christianity. Like, I've yet to see Christians making television shows making fun of Judaism. You know.
Well, we're the convenient target. So
Right. And like all the punk rock bands talking about how bad religion is, yet they never sing any songs about Islam or Judaism or Hindu.
Nope.
You know,
nope, they do not.
Yeah,
they do not.
Yeah, but anyway, since you talked about this, might have been a whole other topic for theology, but you know, the eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth in the Old Testament
makes the whole world blind. Yeah,
I always thought that was the most misunderstood line in the Bible.
It is, because
before that, if I came and I killed Arkham's son, Arkham would then gather an army, come into my village, and massacre everybody. So when they said an eye for an eye, it was a limitation. It was mercy. So if I killed Arkham's son, Arkham, the most he could do was kill my son. If I poked out Arkham's eye, the most he could do is poke out my eye. It wasn't a commandment. It wasn't God being bloodthirsty going, Arkham, you got to go kill that guy. You got to go poke it. It was an act of, because back then, you did harm to me. I gathered up a posse and unleashed hell and wiped out your to the last man, you know. And then it was like, hey, we all want justice, but this is what you do. This is a limit on it. People get it ass backwards, you know. And I love when atheists quote that to me. Your God wants you to poke out people's eyes. I'm like, no, my God wants you to understand that you got to limit what you can do, otherwise the
punishment has to fit the crime.
Correct, and you don't have to if you don't want to. But if you're going that route, this is the maximum.
Yeah, it's like, does God work for lens crafters now? They want people to poke eyes out. Makes no sense. There you go.
Well, most atheistic arguments that I've ever heard have always been disingenuous anyway.
True.
The Animal Farm thing is the most extreme example of death of the author that I've seen in my life. Yeah. And it really bugs me that it's Angel Studios.
Yeah.
Well, Angel Studios bought it. They didn't produce it.
Right. But still.
It was a Netflix.
Let me tell you what happened there. Angel Studios has this policy, this group called the Guild.
Well, I'm just going to fill up my coffee cup. I can still hear.
Okay. Well, they've got this group called the Guild, and they run everything by the Guild, and it doesn't make it to, they don't buy it unless the Guild says this is something they want. But there's good information that the Guild was infiltrated and kind of taken over, because all you have to do is buy a membership to Angel Studios, and so it seems that a whole bunch of voting bloc has bought into the Guild, and so there's been a lot of decisions coming out of the Guild here lately that don't match what Angel Studios is supposed to stand for, and yet they're bound by their own policy there. And so,
time to change that policy. As much as it might have been, like everything in life, a lot of times they make something for good and gets turned into evil.
Kind of like bringing in 80,000 people from a foreign culture, and then they vote in their own people, and next thing you know, we have a communist mayor in New York.
That would be that's a good example of that. Definitely a good example of that. Well, I mean, it's like anything. It can be, if you leave the door open, it can be corrupted, and it's like everything exists to be corrupted after a while. That's the nature of this world, you know. That's why you need something like the Judas goat policy, where, you know, no matter who's in charge, no matter what's going on, no matter you know, the law is the law. And it doesn't change from generation to generation. Of course, if you stick a bunch of communistic justices into the court system, who believe in social equity and things like that, then, you know, you get the dissolution of society. And so George Soros couldn't do it any other way, but he finally figured out the secret to destroying America. So
It's driving me nuts, but there's a line that I wanted to quote. I forget who it was, but they're like, whenever this is mentioned, I just go and load the rifle. And I was going to paraphrase this half-remembered quote. Whenever I hear social equity, it's time to load the rifle.
Get your guns. Get the guns.
Yeah. In an unrelated note, let's hear it for the people of Ireland. Please start a wave throughout Europe. You know, please. I cannot believe these Irish police are dragging. You know, policemen are blue collar workers. I cannot believe that the police are dragging farmers and truck drivers out of their trucks and arresting them.
Well, what happened in Canada was the test case.
Yep.
What they did to the truckers in Canada was a test case.
Call me suspicious, call me conspiracy minded, but when I see like France and England, as far as I know, and Canada, they're recruiting a lot of first generation non-Europeans to become police. And I think that's on purpose, because they're not going to have any problems giving the nightclubs to blue collar indigenous American, you know, white Americans when the protests come.
Yeah. That's basically what they do. Is they're bringing in, you know, their own police force basically. Yep. This has happened all across the world. So what we're seeing right now is we're watching the late stages of a plan that's been in place, you know, since the turn of the 19th century. You know, you first saw it with Woodrow Wilson. The things that Woodrow Wilson suddenly instituted were kind of like, everything you see now seems to be an offshoot of that.
I would like to underscore that Woodrow Wilson was the worst president we ever had. You know, we all like to say that the guy that we just don't like,
right?
You know, insert guy you don't like in the past 20 years. Woodrow Wilson was the beginning. Like that's when America went boink completely. In the
Oh yeah. And if Theodore Roosevelt was the one that caused it. He's the one that opened the door for Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson did not win the vote, but Theodore Roosevelt split off enough of the Republicans that Woodrow Wilson walked into the White House. And so
a friend of mine moved into the Woodrow Wilson Estates, a building in Queens. And I'm like, I'm not even going to your house. You know, there's a block of all the buildings are named after presidents.
Well, I did a show on how the Titanic set up Woodrow Wilson putting in the Federal Reserve.
Yep. I'll never forget one night. Me and my friends were you know, we all just graduated college, and it was like the last summer before we were all going to go and become responsible adults. And we were sitting by my friend's pool, and he just started talking about what you just talked about. And like I said, I became like politically aware late in high school, but I was dipping my toes in the water. You know, at this point, I only had my ankle in the water. And he just went, and I just thought he was the craziest person in the world. And now I got to find out where he is today and be like, hey, Brett, you were right.
I always said we owe every crazy uncle in a trailer park somewhere an apology.
I'm that crazy Uncle Arkham. I want my nieces and nephews to start apologizing. Line up.
There you go. I told you this was going to happen.
My nephew Steven told his fiance, he goes, that's my Uncle John. He's always right. It was proudest moment of my life.
Well, you know, it's funny that the X app has kind of become everybody's uncle. I read about things on the X app that don't even come to pass to like months down the road, and then I'm like, then when it happens, it's kind of like I was reading about this like 2 or 3 months ago, and the news is suddenly reporting on it, and it's kind of like, you guys are way, way, way old, and yeah, it's problematic. Some of the things you get, you have to kind of sort through and spit out the bones, but.
I will have to say, if we survive another 100 years, when I say we, I mean America, as it exists today, they're going to look back at Elon Musk buying Twitter as one of the watersheds in world history.
Well, the thing that he's doing now with the AI immediate translation, he's basically reversing the Tower of Babel.
Oh my God! I've got to say, all of a sudden, I go on Twitter sometime last week, and there's Japanese people talking about barbecues, and oh my God, greatest thing ever.
They're the coolest people too. I have no idea how base they are.
I know Japanese or Americans are like two peas in a pod.
Yeah. I
mean, they're not only American, but they're like Southern Americans.
Yeah. Think about this. We dropped 2 atomic bombs on them. They're just like, it's cool, bro. We've been defending Europe for 80 years. And they're like, hey, Americans, you're a bunch of idiots. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Japan is absolutely way smarter than Europe, because they're like, hey, these guys could have literally wiped us off the planet and they didn't.
Yeah.
They might be better as friends.
Well, I saw this. There's this post where they were responding to somebody complaining about a policy or something in America, and they showed downtown Hiroshima and how thriving it is, and it's like, well, we came back from that, and now we look at where we are. Maybe you should let go of the past. And I'm like, hey, man.
Right.
I mean, I saw a meme that it was just like they showed modern Hiroshima, and then they showed Chicago and Oakland, and they said
Detroit.
They said the atomic bomb was less destructive than the DEI politics, identity politics, left-wing politics, whatever you want to call it, civil rights.
It's all part of the same Hydra.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is why you need law and order.
So a lot of the current implementations of these plans tie back to the not-for-profit organization known as the Club of Rome. Don't give me another rabbit hole I got to look down. I don't know. I'll have to look this up. But I will say,
the Bilderberg Group. Here we go.
Yep. I will say, this is going to get real niche for anybody who's watching this and doesn't know anything about comic books. But diversity in comics, Richard D. Meyer, Comics Matter, whatever you want to call them. For years, he was just like, DEI money, equity money. You just set up this and you get free money. That's not how it works. That's not. And then we find out through Doge that was exactly how it worked.
Exactly how it worked.
That was exactly how it works. Now
and we also find out that Richard C. Meyer was controlled opposition all along. So
I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't
mask has come off.
I don't know what happened, but it turned out USAID was just giving people free money if you followed the message, as the critical drinker said.
The message.
And that wouldn't have happened if Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter.
Nope.
And it's really interesting that all that money from USAID was going towards left-wing policies,
Entirely.
Yeah.
Funny how that happens.
But I just want to know what happened to that momentum. What happened to Doge? That was the greatest thing, and now it seems to have stopped. But anyway,
it got stopped by Congress and Pam Bondi.
Thank God she's gone.
Yes.
Did they announce her replacement yet? I've been purposely avoiding.
Yeah, I don't like the guy either. I'm not a fan of him.
The guy that they're replacing him with is a personal lawyer of Trump, but he's no better than she is. He was doing the whole some prosecutions in Florida that completely, basically, bird in hand, and he let him go. So he's just as bad as she is, and it's all in Florida. So the judiciary in Florida is just as corrupt as anywhere else.
The EU headquarters bears a bit of resemblance to the artwork depicting the Tower of Babel.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
Well, the head of Carl Schwab is
Klaus Schwab.
He's a Rothschild. He
Yep.
literally is a Rothschild, and Rothschild was who Epstein said he answered to.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
I just love the fact that he looked so much like a supervillain.
he looked like Dr. Evil.
He looked exactly like a supervillain.
He looked like Dr. Evil.
He talked like one too.
Yeah, and they're literally on stage talking about how we're gonna turn air into a commodity.
Yep.
Buy and sell. Land, air, water, food. You know. And Bill Gates wants to build a thing to block out the sun.
Yep.
I thought Dr. Doom was unrealistic. Little did I realize that Dr. Doom was tame compared to these people.
I mean, it's like, holy crap! So Dr. Doom is real? I mean,
I'm a conspiracy guy, so like if I ever
Lex Luthor.
If I ever get down to revealing the ultimate plan of the story of the bad guys in my comic books, it's like not even
it's my controller.
People like, I thought you were making up stuff instead of just telling us what was really happening in the news. I'm like,
yeah, I have an overarching bad guy organization in my book.
Yeah, thanks a lot, world. You ruined my comic book.
There's more villains in real life than there are in comic books and movies. It's pretty bad.
Well, my group's called the Eclipse.
There you go. I don't want to tell you what they're called yet because I don't want to spoil it yet. But
well,
yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like,
well, it's because we all sense the shape of what's out there.
Nothing
exists. It's all in our fiction. If you look.
Oh yeah.
It's like Carl Jung said that our fiction is basically our subconscious of mankind, and so if you look in our fiction, you really see the true shape of the world. It's because all of our dreams are in our fiction, and all of our dreams are basically telling us what the world is really going on, what's really going on in the world. Because your subconscious sees so much more than you do.
Yep.
And your subconscious recognizes patterns that you may yourself go, no, that's not real.
Absolutely, Arkham. I it's one of the things I'm kind of fascinated with is the human brain is hardwired to pick up patterns, and sometimes it picks up patterns that don't exist, but that is healthier than missing patterns that exist. You know what I mean? So sometimes, people like get suspicious and like, well, leave me alone. I'm not doing anything. Because they pick up, but it's just hardwired. The human beings can't survive if we can't recognize patterns. Otherwise, they're just eternal children. So
they vote for Democrat.
It's pretty good.
And that's and only in modern America are we so well off that we could discourage people from reacting to the patterns that we all exist.
Yeah,
absolutely. And like it's well, like, called bad people if we observe evidence with our own eyes and come up with a logical conclusion. But only it just shows you how luxurious our society is, that we could afford to ignore evidence with our own eyes. But anyway, that has nothing to do with the Azazel goat. We've been well over an hour, and I love all these tangents. I love this kind of stuff. Does anybody? We got 3 people on the panel. We got about 45 people watching. Anybody have any ideas for the next theology? I know I floated a second idea to you, Cooper. Maybe I'll look back at our conversations. Maybe it's there, but I forget what I also wanted to talk about. But I don't have to be the only Cooper. Anybody could come up with a suggestion for theology, and I'm dying to get Luke Stone to come on and join us.
Well, I like the challenge of you just throwing stuff my way that I wouldn't ordinarily look into. So like this has been fascinating to go down.
Oh, so you like this topic? Good, thank you. Good.
Yeah.
If I might tell you why, because I read the earlier translations was the Azazel goat, and then later on Judas goat, scapegoat, but it's all the same thing. So I was thinking, because I love like coming up with like biblical based superheroes or villains. So if at the risk of spoiling a character who may or may not show up in a future issue, because what they did was I can't remember the name of the person who was hired to walk the goat out into the wilderness, and they pushed them off a cliff, and sometimes they survived, but they would wander around without food or drink and then eventually die. What if Azazel actually rescued one of these goats, possessed it, and still survives in the wilderness today? And literally this like a goat being villain tempting people, with weapons and stuff like that. So that,
have you seen The Witch?
the movie The Witch? Yeah.
The what they call him, Black Tom, the goat in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an Azazel on Earth. That was that goat. That goat was evil. I loved it.
My niece, my wife and I went to go see that movie, and my niece like, oh, that woman, she escaped the patriarchy, and she's all. I go, did we watch the same movie? She's like,
No.
I said that
She
that
was
girl,
evil at the end. What are you talking
I said that girl was, all of her choice was taken away. Her family was isolated. Her father went mad, started just chopping wood, giving up neglect. They were starving to death. The witches took her son. They yes, she accepted the offer because she was put into a position where to not accept the offer meant she died. So if I put a gun to your head and give you an offer, did you escape anything, or was it, you were forced into a situation? I kind of ruined the movie for her.
I'm not finding a name of anybody that's led out, that leads goat out.
I gotta find it. And I'm also looking through our notes because I don't remember what was the other topic that I wanted to talk about. It's just driving me nuts because it must have been good.
We had 4 good ones last week that we put up. I know we did the best independent comic book or creator.
Well, that was for clobbering time. I'm talking about theology.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, theology.
Yeah. It's gonna drive me because I know we had 2, and I'm looking through our notes. Oh yes, the parable of the tenants. There we go. Cooper, you want to do that sometime next week, baby?
Sure. Just okay.
And if anybody has any topics, just put them in the chat. We'll filibuster for a couple of minutes, and then we'll call it a night. Thank you, everybody. This was a lot of fun. And if we stepped on anybody's toes, that's not the intent. All opinions belong to the people who said them. All standard disclaimers. So the parable of the tenants. There we go. We'll talk about that next time. Lot of. I remember Cooper said, "John, you're always bringing up these difficult ones, but they're the fascinating ones. The easy ones have been talked to death. Let's talk about the difficult ones."
Yep.
T-Buddy, do you have any? Do you have anything you want to talk about? Any? So anybody? Bueller. Wrangler says, "Have a great night, everybody. God bless. Thank you. Thanks you for watching. Thanks for putting up with us. And I guess we're done for the night. We'll start with Arkham, and we'll go, as the witches say, we'll go winter shins, and we'll say goodnight. Arkham, anything you want to say?
No, just pick up Heroic Tales 1 and 2. Patriarch will be out soon. Dig. And T-Bunny, great conversation. John, thanks for having me again, and everybody have a good night.
This is an open invite show. Open invite means anybody's welcome to join. I got to do the YouTube stuff. I'm terrible at that. Like and subscribe. Yep. Don't forget the super chat. Whatever. All the cool YouTube. Ring the bell for notifications. I never say any of that stuff. I always
do all the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I always forget. T-Bunny has his own channel, Telepathic Bunny.
Yeah,
right.
The rabbit hole.
Right, and you have your own shows. You talk about cryptids, conspiracies, all that great stuff, and then you do the rabbit hole, which is you pontificating about topics.
Yeah, T-Money, whenever you have like ancient architecture or civilizations conversation, let me know. I'd totally be down for that.
Okay. And Heroic Tales is available on Fund My Comic. It's right here. And if we sell well enough, we'll get to see Arkham's story that he's drawn for me. And of course, I can't find. Oh, here we are. Here is printouts of some of his beautiful artwork. Look at that. This is.
Thank you.
This is the cover that he.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so good.
Nice.
It's so good. He's drawing a 2-page splash of all the thrones of the Olympian gods right now, and he's ready to kill me.
There you go.
But thanks a lot,
I found
everybody.
my rhythm. It's better now that I found my rhythm.
Yeah, and you get so much. Every page is better than the last. Every
Thank
page
you.
is better than the last. And at that point, we're going to say good night, kids.
Night, everybody.
Goodbye, kids.